So good morning, everyone. And Candace has joined us now as well. Candace Straw with the HAP Foundation. She is also an apprenticeship ambassador, I guess, alumnus now, right? And she will be part of the panel with Morgan. So Morgan, it just went from a conversation with you and I to a panel discussion again. So again, Jordan introduced me, Tony Furman. My day job is I am Director of Employment and Training for Madison County. So we are the WIOA grantee for four-county region in southwestern Illinois. We're across the river from St. Louis. So from my house, I can see the arch, basically, just as a point of reference for people in where we're at. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to do some quick introductions of our two panelists. So, Morgan, since you were here first, can you go ahead, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about the apprenticeship, and really just about Aon, and we'll get more detail into the apprenticeships here in a little bit. So, Morgan.
Hi, everybody. I'm Morgan Arnold. I am a 2022 Apprentice alum from Aon. I just graduated from Harold Washington College with my associate's degree in business management and marketing this past August, and then at the same time graduated from the Aon Apprenticeship program. So after that, I transferred into my full-time role as an operations specialist for our health solutions practice.
And Candace.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Candace, and I am a apprentice alum. I started my program back in, I want to say, 20s. At the time, it was with Journey Care Foundation, and I did my community health worker certification at Malcolm X College. And I am currently working as a senior community health worker in advocacy and research for the HAP Foundation, which is a hospice and palliative. So I'm a CHW that works in end of life.
So Candace, since you're unmuted, we'll go to you with the first question. How about what initially attracted you to entering an apprenticeship program?
My initial reasons for doing an apprenticeship program, I saw a job listing at the time. I was working during those emergency shelters that the city had opened for the homeless, and I actually saw a job posting for working with community members, and since that was something I was already doing, I just decided to pursue the job posting and become hired to be an apprentice.
And Morgan, how was your reasoning for the apprenticeships, and especially the one at Aon?
Yeah, so I was working at a hotel coming out of the pandemic kind of, and I just really needed a change from like customer service, and I wanted to go back to school. I had a best friend who went to a conference and heard from an apprentice alum from Aon. So she told me about it. And then I ended up doing like a lot of research, like a lot of Reddit articles and YouTube videos. And I ran across a day in the life video from someone from the first cohort. And he spoke about how his life had changed so much, and I was looking for the same thing. So that's when I really decided to go ahead and apply.
So I'm going to ad lib here a little bit and say, did you feel that research was very effective and it gave you a good idea of what to expect walking in and maybe put you ahead of the pack when you interviewed for the apprenticeship?
I would say a little bit. It helped me grasp the concept of somebody paying for me to go to school while I was working, which I didn't understand, and then still pay me to be in school. So that helped a bit. And then it gave me a bit more background on what Aon actually does. Before then, I knew of it as an insurance company, but I didn't know what capacity. And then outside of that, I just knew that it was the big building on Randolph. So it did give me a little color before my interview.
So let's stick with you, Morgan. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as an apprentice? And more specifically, what were the good things? What were the not so good things?
Yeah. Overall, my experience was great. I can say ad nauseum that it's changed my life. But there were some ups and downs as far as like adjusting, going back to school after so many years, and then also simultaneously entering a career field that I knew nothing about. but we had like a lot of wraparound support. So we have our cohort, and I had a cohort of 32. And then also we have a nonprofit organization that we partner with that gives us professional development sessions. And we have like our own career navigator through them. And then my manager. And then I started to make more connections outside of my team. So the benefit was that I never really felt alone. But then back to not knowing too much about Aon, I will say one thing with Aon in our apprenticeship program, with it ever evolving, they do always listen to our feedback. So, like I said, I didn't know much about it. I applied and then I had the interview. With the new cohort, they've started implementing open houses. So, you apply for the apprenticeship program and then you come to an open house, you listen to a panel of senior leaders within the building so you can learn more about Aon. And then you also listen to people who are going through the program. So you can ask whatever questions you want so you feel more prepared when you come back for the interview.
So Candace, Aon, the large corporation, was your experience different in the
Um,
foundation as opposed to a large multinational corporation? And again, sort of the same questions. What were the ups? What were the downs of your experience in an apprenticeship program?
I would echo Morgan when she says that the experience was positive. It hasn't been a negative experience. I will say that one of the challenges um, of being an adult, going back to school, having that what I did like was the unique model of how school was built into our workday. So we had most classes that were in the evening. So we were able to some days we could start late because our classes would end at 8. So, she wouldn't expect us to be available till about 11 or 12 the next day, especially on those days we had classes. Like the flexibility. I really liked my two coworkers that we started as apprentices together. I did like the doing a whole apprenticeship program on, the school part on Zoom was challenging. Looking at a screen for 2 hours can be a bit much, but it was still really, really, still positive. I still learned a lot. So, that was also really, really good. I say the only downside was not knowing that apprenticeships really existed in the way that they do. I wasn't even aware that there were so many different programs and so many options. So that's the only thing. I think that the word should get out a little bit more about apprenticeships because it can be a really, in my experience, was changing your career path, but at the same time earning money while doing it. I think this could be something that should be promoted earlier, like before college.
So sort of a follow-up to both of you talking about work, school, the time commitment involved in your apprenticeship program. Did you feel that it was a big time commitment, or did the companies, like you say, work with you and you were in school during work hours and all that? So basically, what was the time commitment? Was it reasonable? I don't know if reasonable may not be the right word, but doable, how about? So
It's doable. I mean, I think anything is doable when you have the discipline and you really put your mind to it and it's a priority. But we would start on the days that we didn't have class. It would be a regular work day. On the days that we had class, we would start later in the day because our day was extended longer. So it was still like the regular work. Was it extra work? Yes, it was. I mean, between the class work and projects that we did, that's all, extra papers you had to write. That's just part of going back to school. But at the same time, it was good to, one, have the flexibility to be able to do it virtually, and three, not have to pay for it.
right. So Morgan, how about in your case? So time commitment for you as well. So
Yeah, it was pretty much the same. If you're not, the days you don't have classes, like for instance, our classes are typically always Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So Monday, Wednesday are regular work days. Tuesday, you might work from about 8:30 to 12 so that you can start class at 1 or 2 via Zoom, or it would be in person. So we did have like flexibility. Friday classes were always in person, so those were very long days inside of a classroom, especially in the summertime. But yeah, to Candace's point, as long as you have the discipline, it helped me develop boundaries for sure that my friends had to adjust to. Like, I can't always be there for things anymore because I have to study business communications or marketing or all these other things. But yeah, it was definitely doable. And you also build like groups within the cohort. So like you might have study sessions or things like that. So yeah, it's definitely doable.
So both of you took the next step per se, and when the state introduced their first cohort of apprenticeship ambassadors, you chose to apply. Your company, or possibly your company said, "Hey, you guys are our stars. We want you to be part of this." So can you tell us a little bit about serving as an apprenticeship ambassador, and how did that affect both your professional and personal growth? And Candace, how about if we start with you on that one?
So I will say it has been beneficial, traveling and talking about the apprenticeship program in different parts of Illinois. I will say that there has been a really good opportunity for networking. I really enjoyed the apprenticeship networking thing at the Aon offices downtown, which was really, really cool. I like the relationships and bonds that you build. We've all of us have been together at one point, but then we talk offline as well. We always cheering each other on. So I would say that it's been positive. It's been a lot of networking opportunities that I think that if anyone does the program, they should take advantage of.
Morgan, started
Yeah,
same
for
sort of
me,
question.
kind of I've I've become a lot more vocal. I'll say that much. So I've always worked in customer service where I'm kind of like forced to talk to people, but it's one-on-one. Publicly speaking has never been something that I felt I was good with, and it's always like terrified me. But now I think because I'm speaking about something I'm so passionate about and speaking about my journey and wanting career seekers and employers to know the value of apprenticeships, it's making it a lot easier, and then being in the room with certain people and learning about their journeys and what we can do to make things better. Overall, the ambassador program has really opened my eyes to how I can be a positive change in some way.
Right. So I'll stick with you, Morgan. So that's the piece of the ambassador program. But overall, from the apprenticeship program, how do you feel your skills and knowledge have evolved from when you came in as that beginning apprentice to where you're at now, both sort of professionally and also, I think, back on the personal level as well? How have you seen your skills evolve? I mean, what have you seen and the benefits of the apprenticeship program to you personally?
Personal life, I've gotten a lot more organized with my time and making sure I'm keeping certain things as a priority. As far as professionally, I appreciate the fact that I've honed certain skills. So I've always been like a logical thinker, like I need structure and taking things step by step. Being on an operations team, that's pretty much my job, like fixing problems, but also taking a step back and brainstorming multiple solutions and also connecting different parts of our business because Aon is so large. Like health is a large part, but we also have reinsurance, commercial risk, and also just learning about the different parts of the business and how we can help each other. That's been very helpful throughout the apprenticeship program.
And the same way, how do you think your skills and knowledge have evolved to where you are now compared to that first day when you walked in to start the apprenticeship program?
I think that I never had a problem communicating, but I've gotten more. It's become a little bit more refined. I have had other networking opportunities come. I've had more opportunities come as a result of being an apprentice. And then there's always something significant about being in the first cohort class of apprenticeships for the state. I will say that my professional life has come. I love doing research in my job because it's I do end of life work, and but I love community engaged research. So a lot has come from that. And also just making sure that people know, what programs are available to them and how it would really benefit them. Um, Especially for, people who do not know that they can take a gap year between college or say, I don't know what I want to do. Apprenticeships are a good way to not only earn money, but, learn a new skill and, possibly be hired by the company that, and just continue your educational pursuits. So, along with the positive networking experiences, meeting the first cohort class, being in the first cohort class, I'd say that it's a program that's beneficial that should continue to be modeled.
So thanks for teeing up this next one, Candace. I'll just stick with you. Okay. When you talk to education, you both have moved into higher level positions or received promotions. How do you feel the apprenticeship program laid that foundation for you to move forward in your career?
It definitely gave me more skills. And being part of a program that was certified by the Department of Labor, and then, going and just learning the skills that I learned while doing the certification at Malcolm X, really helped. I also think that it like spearheaded me into higher education. Knowing, I always knew I wanted to do something well with community, but it has refined some of my skills. And I will say the apprenticeship also made me more marketable.
So Morgan, how about the same question? So Candace, let me go back to you before I go to Morgan. So what position have you moved into from where you were? How about that? I think that would probably be a good thing. We talk about promotion, but how about we get a little more specific here?
So I moved from being a regular CHW to I'm now a senior CHW at my um, employer, and I'm over advocacy and research. So I do a lot of um, advocacy work for the community health worker workforce, traveling to DC, staying in touch with our lawmakers, but also spearheading the process health workers and research and about how that is continuing to expand.
So in 2022, would you have thought that part of your job would be going to DC to be meeting with
Not
legislators? Huh?
not in a professional way. I had been to DC before doing advocacy work, just for some of the nonprofits that I was involved with. But doing on a professional basis, no, I didn't realize that. But I'm glad that I had the experience and that I'm continuing to push forward with that.
Right. So Morgan, we'll go back to the original question about moving up and promotion, and how did the apprenticeship experience help you move from that entry level up in Aon?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say congratulations to Candace. Like watching all of her stuff, her post on LinkedIn is like really inspiring with the work that she does. So I do
Thank
want to say that.
thank
Um, but I went from an apprentice to now an operations specialist. So I'm not client facing. I'm all the way behind the scenes, supporting our client delivery teams. So pulling reports, which I never thought I would be so comfortable with Excel, but I am. Here we are. Building presentations, looking up data, creating reports. So that's pretty much my day to day. We had a lot of professional development sessions. So we had them at Harold Washington for life skills. We also had them um, with our regular teams. We would have them every once in a while. And then through the program with 1 Million Degrees, they would host a professional development session on different topics each month. So between that and then learning all of the things through our business classes has really helped, because I'm able to think back and apply something I learned in business communications to a work problem that I'm going through. So it's very nice how they build our classes around the work we'll actually be doing. And then no, I did not see myself doing any of this in 2022 when I applied for the job, but I'm so grateful for it.
So we'll go take that lead into the next question, but you mentioned at the beginning you were in the hospitality industry before you came in here. So that was very much customer facing, right? So you've you've gone from that all the way to the back room to not have to deal with customers. So that's a long intro to the question of how is the apprenticeship experience aligned with your career goals and your aspirations for the future, right? So obviously, were you more comfortable customer focused or more where you're at now? And is that what the goal was and the hopes with the apprenticeship program?
I will say yes. So all of my jobs have been customer facing. So I've done retail, I've done food service, and then lastly, hospitality. When I left the hotel, I ended up getting promoted to be behind the scenes a little bit. So I was fading into the background, which is fine with me, but I do still get to help people, which I really enjoy. So that was something I enjoyed about customer service, like always helping people, being a resource. But this time I'm able to do that, but behind the scenes, I'm still helping people. Um, and then also with wanting to go back to school, it made school such a priority for me that I just kept with it. So now I'm working towards my bachelor's degree now. So I went right back to school after we graduated. So yeah, it's aligning perfectly with everything that I wanted.
So with the school part of the apprenticeship program, you got back into that sort of routine. So is it easier at that point to just keep moving and go for your bachelor's because you were back in that routine?
Yeah, for me, yes. I felt like if I had taken my foot off the gas, I would have taken another gap, and I had already taken a 10-year gap. I didn't want to go back into that. So it's like while I'm doing it, I might as well keep going. It has been an adjustment because school is no longer built into the schedule. It's on my own time now. So like learning how the time management that I learned throughout the program has helped me now because I'm getting better with juggling both at full hour capacities.
So keep talking because Candace is up. She's back. Okay. I was afraid I asked the wrong question there, Candace, and you said I'm done. So,
Uh-huh.
so how about for yourself? The apprenticeship experience, how did that align with your career goals and at this point, your aspirations for the future?
So the apprenticeship program helped me get really more immersed in community than I already was. It also helped me learn how to um, really deal and engage with community members. I've also learned as I've gone through this that now I realize why a lot of people don't work with community members. It's definitely a skill, and it has to be something that you're passionate about. And like I mentioned before, I was already doing volunteer work. I was already doing advocacy work. So this kind of just like was the icing on the cake for me. Um, like Morgan too, we did a lot of professional development, a lot of webinars, a lot of just a lot of community outreach networking events that really hone in your skills, and then you learn from other people who are in the field. The apprenticeship program gave me the opportunity to really talk about how and about how apprenticeships are actually beneficial. Some people didn't understand what they were, but it's been good to just explain how they can work over time. Um, I always wanted to do stuff in public service, so now I'm at Loyola doing public service leadership masters.
Well, great. And I will compliment you on knowing that if you're dealing with the community, you need to be fully engaged with the community because if you're just going through the motions and you don't have that passion, the
It's
community
not for
figures
you.
that, yeah, the community figures that out very quickly and they will seek you out with that
Yes,
passion.
they
I'm
will.
sure you realize that already, right? So moving on, Candace, we'll stick with you. Studies show that money is not the most important thing for loyalty and job satisfaction. Everybody thinks I'm going to go somewhere for an extra 50 cents an hour or whatever, and that's going to be the thing. That's how people show that they appreciate me, right? That's not what studies show. So the question is, do you feel that the investment that the company made in you as an apprentice affected your willingness to stay with that company?
Yes, it did. Okay, but at the same time, I'm not upset about making extra coins.
No, I
I don't
didn't
think
say
it would
that.
upset
Okay.
anybody, but I think that you in along you need to know that your work is valued And you need to know that you're a valued employee, that your voice makes a difference, that you make a difference. Um, I think that when you have an overall positive experience with an employer, that's not just about, how many more zeros on my salary, even though we're not complaining, um, is a way for you to see, okay, this is somebody and this is somebody that actual values me as a trusted member of their staff. I will say that that made my apprenticeship experience even more special because my first supervisor that I had before she moved on was seemed like a mentor and a boss all in one. It's not something that I was used to, but it was something that helped um, because she worked in the field that I worked in. She was a CHW herself before she moved on, so she really understood and knew. So I actually learned a lot from her. Um, I will also say that jobs should know that if you invest in your employees, they will stay with you longer. Because you can see who you don't want to lose talent, just because you can't send a card or say thank you or something like that. So, employers that value their employees usually do stay longer with the company.
So I'm not going to let you off the hook this easy, okay? I'm sure everybody on this call would take extra coin, as you put it, okay? I don't think any of us would turn that down. But you mentioned something very important that is not, in my mind, and what I've seen in apprenticeships, it's not on our prepared questions. The mentor. How important was a mentor to your development and your success in the apprenticeship program?
Well, first of all, mentors, especially in the professional sense, are good, period. Having somebody either did what you did for a certain amount of time, encourage you to move on and pursue other things, or encourage you to hone your skills, is actually something that's really valuable. So, I think that everyone would benefit from having a mentor. But having her mentorship was um, something that was really, really significant. I'd say that, her actually talking and to me and saying, okay, Candace, do you want to go back to school? Is this something, well, you should look at this school, you should look at that school, here's some other options. Having that type of person to like put you on to things that you didn't know was really, really helpful. And then another thing about a good mentor is that even when you don't, I had to call her one day because I just didn't want to do my homework. I'd rather watch bad TV. So it was one of those that helped me and stay accountable to my goals and to what I wanted to do. And, even one of the reasons why I'm pursuing a master's. So, it's having somebody keep you accountable, but at the same time, push you in a positive way.
So here's the follow-up question to that have you become a mentor?
I have, but I became a mentor in another realm. I actually
But I
started.
mean, I think that's a key, right? So if
Yeah,
you've seen that positive from that experience, to take it and share it with somebody else is a key piece, and that's a big reflection on you and getting it right.
it
So,
was. And so I mentored through Armament Angels. That's the cancer support network. So that I started being a mentor through that for a young lady that lives on the West Coast. So yeah, I have started.
all right, Morgan, like 10 minutes ago, I asked the original question, which was, um, money's not the whole ball of wax in a job. How do you feel the apprenticeship program created loyalty for you with Aon, right? So,
Yeah, the investment that I realized early on was there, like me wanting to go back to school. When I first started, the manager that I had actually interviewed me. So I had already got like a feel of her, and she was also in school completing her master's. I was her very first apprentice, but you can never tell like the way she supported me, made me celebrate every win, which is different. I've never had a manager do something like that. And then just our company culture, like everybody is so kind and willing to help. And to Candace's point, I did get a mentor very early on. Like I've never had a mentor until I started this program. And it was very informal. I didn't do like a mentorship program. I literally walked up to somebody after they spoke and asked them if they had the capacity to be a mentor. And that's pushed me in so many different ways, even to do this. Um, so it's definitely affected me positively, where I do care more about the total reward that I'm getting. I was newly appointed as a co-lead for our one of our business resource groups, the Black Professionals Network. So like just having people believe in me and then sponsor me in certain ways that I didn't see in myself before, um, means a lot more, not a lot more, but it means a lot to me as much as the pay.
So have you moved into a mentor position like Candace?
I have. Literally as of maybe 3 weeks ago, I went to an event. It was focused around women in the insurance industry. And then they had clients from a nonprofit. And in the same informal way, the young lady asked me if I signed up to be a mentor. And I just so happened I didn't. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And we've had conversations since then. So it's been pretty great.
That is great because I'm a big proponent in mentorship and becoming mentors, right? Taking what the positive that somebody has shared with you and then passing that on to someone else from your positive experience. So congratulations and thanks to both of you for doing that, for realizing that. I'm going to get boring and give you the stats we asked about the apprenticeship and your loyalty. So nationally, apprenticeship programs, a retention rate of someone who goes through an apprenticeship program with a company is like about 91%. So 9 out of 10 people who go through an apprenticeship program with the company tend to stay with that company. That's how, again, how important that connection is, that willingness that they feel that the company's investing time and resources and everything into them in an apprenticeship program is to create that loyalty. I think in both of your cases, they saw your talent as well. That's why you've both moved up already, right? So I think it's been a win-win on both sides. And that's what we all want, right? In the business world is a win-win. So uh, we're winding down here a little ahead of schedule because we were supposed to have a third panelist. So we get done a couple minutes early. I'm sure nobody's going to complain. So Morgan, we're back to you. What advice would you give someone considering an apprenticeship?
Do it. Um, it's it's another pathway that I think needs to become more popular, for those who don't really see a way out of what they're currently going through. Any imposter syndrome you might have or you think you might have, I don't want to say get over it, but like just let it go. Like somebody has been in your footsteps before. Like right now, we're on our seventh cohort. So it's like there are people who have been in your shoes who are willing to lean back and help you. It's a huge commitment, but the rewards, as you've already named, have been worth it. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. And Aon's apprenticeship applications are live now for anybody who wants to spread the word.
Candace, any advice for someone looking to enter into an apprenticeship program?
Well, first thing is that I would tell them to do their research, see what programs are out there, what are available, and then also what they may be interested in or not. And make sure that, when you go to the interview that you ask questions or write down what it is that you don't understand and get people to verify what they tell you. Um, Understand that, even this is a good pathway, like I said before, for students who don't know what they want to do yet, but still need to earn money, a livable wage, or people who are trying, like myself, to re-enter the workforce after having been absent for so long. It's just a pathway that's back in that'll allow you to, like, climb, maybe at a slower rate, but slow and steady wins the race. Just
Yep. So, so for our audience, if you have any questions, we're down to one final prepared question. So any questions from you, you can either type them in the chat or when we finish this question, raise your hand. We'll be glad to have you unmute and ask those questions. So Candace, any final thoughts for anyone or anything that you would like to share about apprenticeship programs, about the ambassador program? anything in your experience that you would like to share that we haven't touched on or that you want to emphasize?
I say that along with meeting some of the other apprentices and staying in touch with them and like all of us networking, I really have enjoyed meeting everyone in the first cohort for the state of Illinois, and it has been really, really it's been really, really beneficial to my professional development and growth. So
Mark, and you had the first word. We'll give you the last word too before we go to questions. So, any final thoughts or anything
Um,
you want to share that you didn't get a chance to about apprenticeship programs, the track, if what you're doing this weekend, anything? So, any final thoughts? So,
I just can't wait to see what apprenticeships look like in the future, like even a year from now. Um, my vision of what a apprenticeship looks like has changed a lot. Just seeing all of us ambassadors in so many different industries. Um, I think gives me a different lens and can help give others a different lens. I always thought that apprenticeships were all like physical labor, and I'm not a physical labor girl. So knowing that it exists in real estate and corporate and healthcare, like seeing all of us thrive, has been really, really great.
absolutely.
so we do have a question for both of you. What was your favorite part of being an apprentice ambassador this year? So, either one.
I would say going to when we went to, I want to say St. Louis to talk to the employers on the panel. I did enjoy that session, and also I enjoyed hanging with another ship in the another apprentice, Bianca, while we were there. Um, I did enjoy all of us getting together, seeing each other. I liked the networking part.
Morgan?
Pretty much the same. Being in rooms with people I'd never thought I would be in the rooms with. And then just hearing everybody's journey, I think has been my favorite part. Like we're going through something so similar, or like just being an apprentice, but all of our backgrounds are so different. Like with Zoe, who's in construction, like hearing her path and then seeing people take the next steps and come out of their shell too has been really nice to witness.
So that's sort of an interesting thing that I'll piggyback on because there's 10 unique individuals there, 10 different backgrounds, people from throughout the state, from the city of Chicago. Was there a common bond? Or are apprenticeships that wide range that, there's no mold, right? So everybody has their own path to get into an apprenticeship program and succeed. I mean, was that one of the things from that group of 10 that you learned?
Yeah, I think the common bond for sure is the dedication and like us just all wanting more for ourselves and then wanting to see more for others as well. I think that was like a huge, like a big common bond. Bianca, who Candace mentioned earlier, like we've met up and like seeing what she's doing to better herself for the next level. Um, like now we just have a community where we can just continue to cheer each other on.
Yeah, and hearing, going to the Aon, office and hearing, Aaron talk and seeing some, posts with him and just how Bianca recently was um like a keynote speaker somewhere. I mean, just, these opportunities that have come, as a result of hard work, but also because as a result of the apprenticeship program and being connected in that way has just been really, really inspiring and beneficial overall.
So I'm going to go off script again and ask another question. So, how important has your employer been in this process? I realize they made the commitment to set up an apprenticeship program, but their commitment to the apprenticeship program, to your personal success and the success of the program, how important do you feel that's been for both of you in your apprenticeship programs?
For me, very important. the way that Aon promotes our apprentices and makes sure that we're always involved is really important, whether it's through our volunteering, through our BRGs, or with our community impact team. Um, and they don't look at us as just apprentices. I think that's like also a thing. Like we're just seen as regular colleagues with valued ideas and experiences. I think that can make or break an apprentice's experience with a company. And Aon has done a really good job with making us feel involved, no matter how we came through the door.
For me, our employer has, done the same thing. It was always something that was highlighted. Once I became an ambassador, it was highlighted like in our newsletter and then, as a way of saying, hey, she's participating in this program. But I've gotten a lot of support from my boss Kim and encouragement in the program, and a lot of appreciation and thank you because it brings value not only to me but also to the organization. But so it's been a lot of appreciation for participating in the program.
Right. I see Jordan, you're on.
Yeah, I just had a question, and you can choose to give as much info as you want, but I know that from an employer side, you two had talked about kind of shifting careers kind of after you had kind of an established track. And so when we're thinking about what apprenticeship offered you as an individual, the capacity to move from what you knew and had already done and had the skill set for to maybe moving into an area that maybe had some barriers to entry to, like, how did apprenticeship open up maybe an opportunity that you might not have had access to previously, or
So
made it easier to engage with that, if nothing else, if that makes sense.
so how did the apprenticeship how did we engage with other employers, if I'm
Or
understanding?
rather, like, maybe comparing it to like traditional hiring methods where it's like, go get your
Mm.
degree, then show up once you have your degree, and then we'll hire you, versus, you have to get a 2 or 4 year degree before you can even be considered for the job. Whereas apprenticeship, you start out without even having the degree. So how does that approach open up the potential field of applicants for an employer standpoint? Like, hey,
Mm.
we're opening the door to a lot more people than we would have ever considered hiring if we did it the traditional old-fashioned way.
So I'll say two things. Number one, maybe not everybody had the financial means or the to attend college, or for whatever reason, maybe didn't have I've met students where student loans have scared them, or they didn't want to, do it the traditional way. Or for some people, maybe college was never an option. I had to go right into the workforce. I had to do this for family, find out whatever the reason is. Apprenticeships are a way to get your foot back in the door, but also learn skills, get your foot back in the door, and then continue to allow you to hone in and on your skills. I do think that employers skip over viable candidates just simply because someone doesn't have the credentialing, just because somebody doesn't have college. I will say that while college degrees are important, and I would never talk down on that, I will say that there are still some talented people out here without degrees, and those people aren't even looked at just because they don't have the degree. Apprenticeship is a way to say, you know what, I know they don't, but over time we can develop them, we can put some money into their education, allow them to continue to work and go to school. That is a model that employers should consider. Not everybody has to have a C-suite position. Not everybody has to do that in order to make an impact. So, it if you want to keep your talent and invest in your talent, then, see people for, the fact that they actually, what this person can actually bring to the table. Okay, they may not have 64 letters by their name, but that doesn't mean that they still could not be an intricate part of your staff.
I also think with the apprenticeship, like we're kind of weaved into the organization. So we get to grow as the organization is growing, and they're able to teach us what they want us to learn versus just, like Candace said, turning us down because we don't have a certain degree already. Like you're learning the classes that you need to use on the job. So employees do get to, in some way, choose the classes that you want your employees to know because they're going to need to use that for your organization. versus me going to get a degree and then maybe getting a job, looking for a job for so long. Like, how much of the class am I going to remember to use on the job, if that makes sense? So I think they should consider it as well. And then to the point earlier, the investment being made will bring the loyalty and the commitment that the talent that probably wouldn't have a chance otherwise, it will make them want to stay with that organization. So it's beneficial for everybody involved.
We have another question in the chat. As apprentice ambassadors, how did you communicate with each other outside of the designated meetings? So there were just a handful of meetings, and I know you guys did events as well personally, but how did you guys connect and outside of that sort of structure with the other ambassadors?
Well, we use LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn and we exchange numbers. And so then like we would call and text each other. I know I did. So
Yeah, same. An ambassador came to my job and we, hung out after hours and just like vented about being newly graduated and what the next steps were. Was not organized by Apprenticeship Illinois. It's just we just wanted to hear from each other and kind of like check in on each other in a sense.
So there was a definite bond between maybe not all 10 of you, but people you connected with for a different sort of level of professional development, so to speak, sort of that one-on-one kind of stuff then, right?
Yes.
yes.
So another question, I think we touched on this a little before, but did you experience any challenges in the apprentice that you'd like to share? Whether it was finding the program to become an apprentice or a struggle along the way during apprenticeships. Morgan, you mentioned imposter syndrome, which is something that many have felt but did not make known. So any other struggles in the apprenticeship program that you would like to share?
For me, I just was coming in with imposter syndrome, not knowing what I thought I was supposed to know, not realizing like everybody started somewhere. I was like really shy and like reclusive. So when I was tapped to do the ambassador thing, I was just like, why me? Like I'm literally just doing my job and doing well in school. That's what I'm supposed to do. But you never know who's watching, I guess, which is something I like to keep in mind. But again, my organization always made me feel so welcome that it made that kind of ease out. Whatever struggles I was feeling was a lot of it was self-imposed because I was in my head too much, but I had everyone around me like, you can relax a little bit. You're doing better than you think you're doing. So that kind of helped me with that whole, imposter syndrome thing.
I would call it a touch of humility, which may not be the worst thing in with your professional development. So yeah, it's always better to have other people tell you how well you're doing as opposed to you trying to tell everybody else how well
I'm
you're
great.
doing. Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
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 So,
I think one thing that the apprenticeships program could do for the next cohort, as far as networking, is all the ambassadors to be together like more than once or at a setting that was outside of the traditional meetings. I think that that's part that I think that the meetings are good, but stuff kind of does not get, you for give them the apprentices need an opportunity, more opportunities to be around each other, and that can sometimes be difficult with conflicting schedules. But if it was part of the cohort plan, then I think that would be really beneficial to keep the relationships going.
I think this is more a question, Jordan, for you or I. Is the apprenticeship a good start for an immigrant who struggles to get professional jobs in the United States?
Yeah. Do you want me to take a stab at that?
Yeah, if you didn't, and then
Yeah.
I'll say
So
what I
I
know
would
or don't know. So
yeah. So that is a great question, and it's a question I know a lot of people in the state are asking. I used to work in what I would call like it was a pre-apprenticeship program. So a lot of times the apprenticeships we're talking about today have some minimum qualifications to even be qualified to apply to the programs, or at least that's how a lot of businesses have it set up. So if you're looking to kind of get yourself in a position to apply to a full-on apprenticeship, I would say connect with like your community college, or a lot of times there will be a lot of social service nonprofits in your area who offer some sort of education and certificates that could qualify to get you up to that qualification to apply to some of these apprenticeship programs we're talking about. And that would kind of be the first step, is connecting with either your adult education or community college or another nonprofit where you live by, who can get you those skills and education to get you to that kind of next step to apply to an apprenticeship. And then once you kind of feel confident in that level, finding the businesses who have apprenticeships to offer. We would love to see more businesses do that, but right now I would say it's still a minority of businesses in the state offer apprenticeships. What I did post earlier in the chat is apprenticeship from the U.S. Department. There is a web page for career seekers looking for apprenticeships. So you could look at that website and see if there's anything that interests you there and what the steps would be to maybe join some of the programs that are listed on the national website. Otherwise, I would really connect with your local community college or adult education or nonprofit in your area to kind of see what's available and what your next steps might be.
Right. I said we were probably going to get done early. I should have known better. So it's been a very good conversation. We appreciate the questions, and uh, I would really like to thank Morgan and Candace both for participating this morning, and also more importantly for their service in the last year as being part of that first cohort of the apprenticeship ambassadors throughout the state of Illinois. They've set the bar high for group number 2, which was announced earlier this week. Again, thanks everybody for participating today, and look forward to the future of apprenticeships in Illinois and see them grow. And as we saw today, they're a very positive impact on both the companies that create apprenticeship programs and, more importantly, those individuals that go through those apprenticeship programs. So thank you all and have a great weekend.